At 2:59 a.m., the town siren began winding up. By the second rise, I knew it wasn't outside anymore. The rules on my fridge say don't look out the window during the 3 a.m. siren. I looked. I'm on the second floor of a converted duplex on East 1st Street, 2 blocks from the lake and 1 from the firehouse. When I moved in, the landlord slid a stapled packet across the counter with the lease. The first page was standard boilerplate. The second was titled Night Siren Procedures in 12-point Arial with a red underline like a teacher had graded it. I laughed when I got to the line about the window. Miss Kittle, who lives below me with her tabby and the plastic on her sofa, said, "You can laugh now. You'll take it serious later." She sealed her own curtains with blue painter's tape every night before bed, December through March. The siren isn't the noon one from tornado tests. We get that too on Wednesdays, sharp and civic. The 3 a.m. siren starts lower, hangs in your chest, and climbs with a catch in the climb like it has to step over something. The firehouse guys told me it's for lake fog, an old shipping signal nobody bothered to unplug. The packet doesn't say why it happens. It only says what to do. Close all curtains before 2:50 a.m. during winter months. Turn off interior lights. Do not use phones near windows. Sit on the floor facing away from any exterior glass. Do not look out the window until the all-clear siren at 3:07 a.m. Do not acknowledge your name. If the building knocks, wait through 3 separate cycles. Whoever typed it had added in pen at the bottom in a different hand. If you looked, do not blink with the sound. I read that last part enough times that the grammar always felt wrong in exactly the same way. On the second rise, I felt the cabinets hum. The drinking glasses chimed so softly the sound landed behind the air. The oven clock glowed 3 o'clock. My phone screen, face down on the counter because I play along with rituals even when I don't buy them, came alive on its own and showed 2:59, then went black again. I told myself the 2 clocks disagree all the time, which they do, but not like this. Between the siren's breaths, the world felt like a paused video call. I kept the kitchen light off. Streetlight cut around the blackout curtain at the edges, turning the wall a soft blue that isn't a color inside things normally are. I pressed my hand to the curtain and felt faint cold like the night was breathing through the weave. Downstairs, something heavy settled as if Miss Kittle had stood up and sat down again without moving. I tried to sit on the floor, back to the glass like the paper told me. The siren rose a 3rd time and in the crest I heard my name in it, not letters, not words. Something shaped the way your name is shaped when your mother says it from 2 rooms away and you answer before you mean to. I stood. My heart had the wrong rhythm. I pinched the edge of the curtain. "I know," I told the empty kitchen, because you narrate to yourself when you're about to break a rule. "Just a peek." The fabric caught on a splinter in the sill. I pulled too hard and it made the silentest possible tearing noise and left a fisheye of street in the gap. Outside was the gray of a TV before input. The maple by the curb moved its highest twigs even though the trunk did not. The block was wrong by no single detail I can explain and 50 I can only feel. The street longer by a car, the corner farther away, the plaster line on the house opposite a different sag. A shape stood in the bay window across from me. It was a person, shoulders forward like they were bracing their palms on their own sill. For a second I thought it was a trick of parallax. Then it moved the way I move. It leaned the way I lean when I'm trying to rub a headache out of my eyes and not cry. It was backlit, faint and steady, as if their all clear had come from a source that wasn't mine. I flinched back, shut the curtain out of reflex, and stood with my nails in the fabric. The siren dropped, gathered, rose. In the thin space at the top where the tone changes, my phone buzzed. A text from a number saved as City Alerts slid onto the lock screen and then stuttered, half scrolling and stopping. Shelter in place 3 to 307. Do not, and then it vanished as if recalled. Something tapped the window once. Not a knock. A listening. I held my breath until dots began to flit at the edge of my vision, and then let it out with my mouth open so it wouldn't fog the glass through the curtain. On the oven clock, the colon between 3 and 00 stopped blinking. I told myself, "You looked, now sit." I slid down the cabinet and hugged my shins like a kid. My throat vibrated with the siren. The paper on the fridge shifted as the vent cut on and the magnet lost a hair of its bite. Under the typed rules, a new line had appeared in the same pen from before, in the slant I didn't recognize. If it shaped your name, it saw you. If you looked, it knows your eyes. I hadn't written that earlier. No one had been in here. The magnet was an orange tourist moose from 2 Harbors. Covered the bottom third clean before. I pulled the paper off and turned it over to see if I'd missed something on the back. The back was blank. My hand left cold sweat prints in my own shape. The siren's fourth rise came gentler. A coaxing. The way adults soften their tone to get you to the car after a party. From downstairs, Miss Kittle's cat yowled once as if someone had touched the base of its tail. The building made a low pipe moan the way a building admits it is an animal, too. I already looked. I whispered to nothing, because that was truer than any prayer I know. I already did it. The curtain edge breathed toward me like someone was on the other side and inhaled. The draft smelled faintly like lakeweed in July, a smell that shouldn't exist in frozen March at 3 in the morning. My own face hovered in my head, unhelped by glass. The washed-out version you see when the screen goes dark and you catch yourself where you didn't expect to. I got up. I should have kept myself on the floor, away from the silly power of a rule printed in Arial. I pinched the curtain again, not because I wanted to see, but because not seeing had become a kind of seeing I couldn't stand. I pulled a finger's breadth aside. Across the street, the person in the bay had their palms spread flat on the glass. I could not see their face clean. The backlight made a mask of the pain. But there are a dozen tiny tells we know about our own bodies that we don't share with anyone because we never have to. The slope of a wrist after a volleyball break. The crook in the right ring finger. The way the clavicle left side sits a trace higher. I don't know how to convince you of this except to say it and live with your doubt. The person had my hands. On the 5th rise, I tried not to blink with the sound, like the note on the page told me. It's easy to read and impossible to do. Your body flinches with big noises whether you respect it or not. When the tone tipped over the top and began to slide down, my lids answered it. I closed when it paused. I opened exactly when it wanted me to hide. The figure across the way blinked my blink a fraction early, like a teacher giving the answer seconds before you know it. Their head tipped as if to test whether I would follow. The parting in their curtains was a little wider than mine. I could see behind them a kitchen I knew too well. The oven clock blew. The magnet. The paper with rules. The pen line at the bottom. If you looked, do not blink with the sound. The 6th swell landed in my teeth. Cabinets ticked. The plates made a thin shiver. Across the street, my shape lifted a hand to the glass. I lifted mine a breath later and hated the echo. When the tone dipped, both of us blinked anyway. The first building knock rolled the framing like a slow fist. Passed from the front door to the back bedroom. The packet said wait through 3 cycles, so I waited. The siren gathered itself and rose again, lower. My phone lit without my hand. Another city alerts banner half appeared and vanished. A second notification bloomed. Mom, empty, then gone. I didn't open anything. Across the street, my double pressed their rule sheet flatter. They wrote a line while I watched the marker squeak. At the same moment, my magnet twitched against the paper. New words crawled in my leftward slant. Do not trade glass. Keep the room you're in. Okay, I told nothing. The second building knock reversed its path. Back bedroom, hall, front with breathy pressure. I pictured Miss Kittle stiff on her sofa, eyes shut, her cat buzzing like a low fan in her lap. The third knock came harder and left a hush. In that trough my name formed out of room pressure. Skin knows when something stands right behind you. The draft pulled past my ear like breath through teeth. Across the way the other me leaned until their brow touched glass. They shaped weight with their mouth. I stepped closer. The siren crested. We blinked together. I tried to miss. They fixed me back on beat. The all-clear never came. My oven stubbornly read 3 o'clock. The phone kept 2:59. Something brushed the curtain at my knee. Downstairs, her door opened and thumped shut again. Hello? She called, soft. Then, no. Across the street, my other tilted their head like listening. For once they missed the beat and blinked on the rise. Relief flared, petty and ugly, and I used it. I pulled the curtain wider and met them square. Side light erased their face into a flat plane. I mapped old injuries and habits onto that blank scar at my brow, the chip in my front tooth. I made sober arguments for coincidence and lost them. A horizontal streak crossed their pane, wrong for weather. They didn't fog. I did, and watched the difference hang between us. You can have it, I muttered to cloth I gripped. On the next crest, I kept my eyes open on purpose. It hurt. Tears blurred. The siren eased. A bottle rolled a tiny arc and settled. My other blinked perfectly with the sound again. By the sink, my pen clicked and began to move. New words wrote themselves in a tugged, wrong-handed slant. If it keeps your time, don't stand at equal distance. Change corners. Be nearer or far. Across the way they moved left. I moved right. The siren came from the walls now, not outside. In the glass my reflection lagged like a bad feed. The rule wasn't only don't look. The rule was don't sink. I closed the curtain and stepped back to the chair. I didn't tape it. Promises invite collectors. The oven finally flipped to 301. The phone matched. I let the siren swell without blinking a beat. Footsteps climbed to the upstairs landing and rested at my door. The knob ticked like a stethoscope touching skin. The loose screw rotated a hair in its tired plate. Blue painter's tape led a sheet under the door. It was the rule page with fresh staple scars. A new line bled through in that slanted hand. If you hear all clear from the wrong side, keep sitting. I hated knowing there was a right side and wrong. I thought of us switching places and not knowing it. The siren climbed again. A clean bell rode behind it. My body loved the bell and dropped its guard. My mouth opened. My eyes shut on gratitude. The sound came from the hall gap, not the roof. The siren stopped. My lids finished closing anyway. Silence poured into the room and pressed my cheek. Whoever waited outside exhaled like they'd been patient. The latch hissed and failed back thoughtfully. Behind my lids, a bay window afterimage hung and wobbled. I thought of rules learned by how a place treats you. I opened my eyes not on any crest. The curtain breathed toward me, testing for an answer. I didn't move or blink or say here. Weight leaned into the wall by the radiator until studs creaked. 3 slow steps crossed the landing away from my door. Below, the cat chirped like nothing had been wrong. The oven clicked to 307. The phone followed. Traffic began threading first. A plow scraped a spark. Relief tried to install itself like software. In the bay across the street, a dim shape waited. Hands were flat on the glass, fingers splayed carefully. It didn't blink when I tested a stray, late blink. It didn't blink at all, and neither did the room. I kept still because stillness suddenly felt like the only door I owned. A hair lifted on my wrist where the curtain breath touched. On the fridge, the moose magnet tipped, as if listening too. The paper shifted and showed a wet, newly written underline. Do not invite a mirror across. Let one side starve. I wondered which side the sentence loved. Across, my double lowered their palms and waited like I waited. Neither of us blinked. The rooms counted us instead. Somewhere outside, a truck downshifted and made the street sound ordinary. Inside, the ordinary kept slipping like a glove one size off. If I slept, I thought, it would find my rhythm again. If I moved, it might prefer the movement to my eyes. My phone buzzed once, polite, and showed 308, then 307. The bell of all clear chimed faintly from the hall, patient as sleep. I didn't answer it. Not yet.